Okay, so we are back. Question number 7. What is the value of the square root of 5/20ths? Here we go. Now, anytime I can reduce a fraction, that's always going to be helpful. So I'm going to do that first. I can operate underneath my square root sign here, and we're just going to do some standard reduction of fractions. So we think, what could I divide the top and bottom by? Something that's divisible into both 5 and 20. So I know that 5 times 4 is 20. I can divide 20 by 5 to get 4. 5 divided by 5 is 1. So I can get the square root of 1 over 4. Okay. And just for some of you, I'll maybe put off to the side here. Hopefully we're good with fractions by now, but it's never late to have a little bit of practice. You maybe see me do it like this during the year. As long as we do the same thing to top and bottom, right? Equivalent fractions, then we're just changing how this fraction is represented, but it's still the same thing, 5 over 20. So we divide top and bottom by 5, we've got 5 divided by 5 is 1, 20 divided by 5 is 4. Okay, now we've got the square root of 1/4. There's a rule that says that we can take the square root of the top of my fraction and the square root of the bottom. So I'm going to square root my top, I'm going to square root my bottom. Square root of 1 is 1, because 1 times 1 gives us 1. Square root of 4 is 2, because 2 times 2, or 2 squared, is 4. Remember, square root, we're just working in reverse, trying to find the root, the thing that was multiplied by itself 2 times to get this number. So there it is. Answer is 1/2. Okay, pretty quick and easy question. As long as you're comfortable and familiar with these couple of little rules. Let's go on to number 8. Number 8, what is the value of the following numbers? So we're adding decimals, okay, adding and subtracting rational numbers, in this case particularly decimals. So a few ways to do this, but let's start off doing kind of this way that we're probably used to. We're going to add these vertically, and we're going to make sure we line up that decimal. Super important. So here's my decimal in this one. Why don't I put that down first to make sure I line that up properly? So I've got a 0 right there, and I've got a 0 here, and then I have a 5 here. Okay, and we're adding those two together. And then we're going to be doing some subtracting. So we can maybe just do this part first, if that helps. So let's just do the first two parts, okay? We can do these one step at a time. So I'm going to add, there's nothing here. 5 plus nothing is 5. Okay, you could fill that place in with the 0 if you wanted to. 2 plus 0 is 2. 3 plus 0 is 3. 1 plus nothing is 1. So the first part gives us 13.25. And now we're going to subtract from that 5.45. Okay, so I've got 13.25. Now I'm doing a subtraction. I'm going to subtract, put my decimal first. Now I'll fill in my numbers. And we can do some standard subtraction. 5 minus 5 is 0. 2 minus 4, we can't do that, so we have to borrow. So we're going to borrow 1 from here. That becomes a 2, and we can add a 1 in front of that. So 12 minus 4, we get 8. Okay, 2 minus 5, can't do it. We're going to borrow from there. There's nothing left after we borrow the 1. So we're left with a 0, and we put our 1 in front of our 2. So we've got 12 now. 12 minus 5 is 7. Okay, so our answer should be 7.80. If they ask you to round it to the nearest tenth, of course, it would be 7.8. They didn't say here, so I'm just going to leave the answer as is. And there we have it. If you're good at mental math, you know you can do this stuff in your head. You don't have to do it this way, so don't feel forced to do it that way. Because we could, for example, look at this. I can see I've got a 5 in my hundredths place here. It's the opposite of the sign here. If I combine those, I know that's going to reduce this value to negative 5.4. And, I could be doing some mental math. But, I'm just going to stop there. I encourage you to take your time. Just get it right, right? We want to get these questions right. So adding and subtracting with decimals, you can do it in steps like I did it here. okay? And then you'll should be good every time. All right, question number 8. Okay, so number 9, I'm going to do one thing here. This might be a short video. I am going to switch screens. It seems that this recorder shuts off when I switch screens. I do just want to try and open. Oh, that's still recording. Okay, that's good. I want to keep these answers open along the way just to make sure I'm not making any mistakes. I don't want to confuse anyone and then come back after and be like, oopsie. So where was it? I think, did I download those? That's 1 applications. Key 2. I didn't download it. Okay, this could get tricky. Let's see if this is going to. Can I pause recording? I don't know how, so sorry. Bear with me or skip ahead. Where did I open here? Okay, so we're still recording. Okay, good. I don't know what was happening before. It was closing on me when I would switch screens. So I'm going to do, can I move that? No, I think, is that the download button? Yes. All right, I'm going to download that. Don't want it there. Close that there. Oh, we're going to go here, right there. And this here, I'm going to open it in Microsoft Edge. Okay, good. Now we can kind of have a quick reference and make sure we're doing everything great. So far, so good. Everything agrees. Everything appears to agree. Okay, good to know. So that's something also, another tip for you. You can do an answer, try to do it on your own, then check your answers. If you get it wrong, you can try to figure out what you did wrong or just move on. Or do all the questions, check them all at the end, whatever works for you, but just make sure you are checking and then trying to figure out what you went wrong on. And of course, you'll have an opportunity tomorrow to ask some more questions of me at class if there's something you're really stuck on. Or send me a message tomorrow evening, okay? I want you guys to feel ready for this exam. Okay, moving on. All right, question number 9. Oh, and again, yeah, they put their answer here, 7.8. Perhaps if the question says to 1 decimal place, then that'll be fine, right? All righty. Okay, so consider the inequality. 3 times x minus 2 is greater than 4x minus 5. So first thing we're going to want to do here is we want to solve this basically, right? We want to have this down to an answer that says something like x is less than some number, or x is greater than or is less than some number. Okay, and that's going to tell us what set of values on this number line we're looking at. So back to the question, I guess I didn't read that yet. How many of the points labeled with a letter on the number line above satisfy the inequality? So we're going to solve this. If it ends up being that it's something like greater than or equal to 0, we're going to be looking at all of these values, right, are included because it starts at 0, includes 0, and goes that way. We'll come back to that in a minute when we get our actual answer. All right. So now on to the solving or manipulating of these terms. Let's make sure we're careful when we write this down onto our scrap pieces of paper that we're working on. I want to get my x's together and my numbers together on another side. So right now I've got my x is trapped inside these parentheses. We have to liberate the x minus 2 from its little prison there. So we're going to take 3, use our distributive property to multiply that to each term. And we will now have 3 times x, giving us 3x, and 3 times negative 2, giving us negative 6. Now we can start doing some moving of variables around. So we can do these a couple different ways. I could subtract 3 from both sides, 3x from both sides. I could subtract 4x from both sides. There's more than one way to do this. I know in class I was subtracting 3x, so I get a positive number on this side. But then I'm also ending up with my x's on this side, and I have to end up kind of flipping my expression around so that it makes sense. But with a negative sign, we're probably going to have to do that also. But let's try it this way for this time. I am going to get rid of my 4x from the right side. I want to try to get it to my left. So I'm going to subtract 4x, and I'm going to do that here as well. Okay, so these two are going to result in 0, so we can effectively cancel those out. 3x minus 4x. So we've got positive 3, negative 4. The difference between 3 and 4 is 1, right? 4 minus 3 is 1. The negative was bigger, so our answer is negative. So we've got negative 1x or just negative x. Okay, you can put the 1 if you like, but we don't need the 1 there, right? Negative 1x is just the same as saying negative x. So I'm just going to put my negative x, and I'm left with my negative 6 there still, so I'm going to keep that. Oops. I'm going to keep that. Put my greater than sign. This stuff here is gone, so I'm left with a negative 5. Now I've got my x on this side. I've got to get this number over to the right, so I'm going to add that. I'm going to add 6. I'm going to add 6. And below we will get following. So, I like to keep that in red first. Those cancel out, right? 6 minus 6 is 0. Now we're just left with this negative x bit. So we've got negative x is greater than, we've got here again, two opposite signs. So we take the difference. 6 minus 5 is 1. 6 is bigger than 5. So we get a positive 1. Now, I do have my x on the left side, but I have a little problem because I want my answer to be just an x on the left side. And I have a negative sign there right now. So what I'm going to do, and that's like having a negative 1. I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 1, okay, or just a negative number, but let's just do it this way. I'm going to multiply by negative 1, okay, so negative 1. Remember, if we do something to both sides, we're still good. Everything stays the same, except with inequalities, if we multiply or divide our inequality, we need to flip this sign, okay? So that's going to change in my next step. So here we go. Negative 1 times negative x is going to give us our x. So we got rid of that negative sign. We multiplied a negative to it, but we have to flip our sign around. I'm going to put that in red so it stands out, okay? And 1 times negative 1 will give us negative 1. So we get a negative answer. So now we have our x on the left, we have a less than sign, and we have a number here on the right. Okay, so this is our solution. X is less than negative 1. And so we find here on our number line, we've got 0, 1, 2, 0, negative 1, negative 2. Okay, so we find our negative 1 here. And we said it's less than. Now, if it was less than or equal to, first question, do we include D? Do we include this point? And the answer is no, because it says it's less than negative 1. So we can't include points that are equal to negative 1. If it had one of these equal signs, less than or equal to, we could include it, but we don't because it's less than. So we can't include that one. But we're talking about anything. Let me just remember how we would graph these. If we don't include that, we would use like this big open circle, right? And then we draw a line on the graph. And then all our solutions are here, right? We start from this kind of open circle and then everything to the left. So we're talking about everything to the left of negative 1. So we've got 1, 2, 3 points with letters on them that are included in that solution. It could be many other answers, but they're just asking us to pick out how many of those. So there they are, 3. So we're going to have somewhere to fill in on our numeric response, and you're going to say there are 1, 2, 3 points. So our answer is 3 points fall in that solution to this inequality, which says that the x must be less than negative 1. All right. Okay, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this again, and I'm going to kind of solve it a sort of different way so that you can make sure we're comfortable with however we end up solving this, that we can get the correct answer, okay? So what I'm going to do with that is, should I do it here below or should I erase this? What do you guys think? You're not here. I'm talking to myself. Okay, so I'm just going to do it here below for now. All right, so I'm going to start out again. 3 times x minus 2 is greater than 4x minus 5. We distribute, so we get 3x minus 6. And we still have our 4x minus 5. This time, I am going to subtract my 3x first. I'm doing this so that I can get my, I guess I like doing it because it gets rid of negative signs, maybe. So I know when I subtract 3 from here, it's going to give me a positive value. And sometimes try to avoid negative signs, but nothing to be afraid of. They happen in math. We just have to make sure we're always careful with them and we understand the rules with using them. Okay, so anyway, that cancels out. This is just another way of approaching the problem. So I have negative 6 is greater than 4 minus 3 is 1, and that's positive 1, so it's just 1x or x. Don't need to write the 1. So I've got x, and I still have my negative 5. Okay, so now I've got to get rid of my negative 5, so I'm going to bring that over to the other side. That's going to become a plus. Okay, or we can look at it this way, that we're doing the same to both sides as we always do. Those are gone. Negative 6 plus 5 gives us negative 1 is greater than x. Okay, great. We have no negatives next to our x, but we've got our x on the right side by doing it this way. Now, there's a couple ways you could do it. You could understand something. Remember this sign, the big side. This is the side that's greater. This comes to a little point. This is the side that's lesser or small, okay? So we could look at it this way. Here's the small sign pointing to the x, and we just read it this way. X is less than, so we read the one that's next to the x. X is less than negative 1. But that's going to be confusing for a lot of people, so we want to try to keep it in the way that x is always on the left side. So there's another little rule that we can apply that said if we want to swap these two, we can flip them around, but we have to change the sign. So we're not going to change, we're not multiplying negative 1 in this case. Well, actually it is related. If we multiply negative 1 to both sides, it will flip the sign around, but it'll still, wait, I multiply by negative 1. I could do it. Yeah, then it flips the sign. But then we still have our x on the right. It's not really how we want to think about it. So remember the rule where we just, if we switch x to the left side and we switch the number to the right side, we have to also turn our inequality sign around with it. So imagine this whole thing is flipping like a mirrored image, and x is coming to this side. This thing has to flip this way, and this comes over to this side. Okay. Again, we get the same answer. And notice what's the same between these two. The small pointy side is still pointing to my x. The big side here is still pointing to my negative 1. So we haven't changed anything. That's what I kind of wanted you to realize. Okay. So it's just now easier for us to read. If we read from left to right, we say x is less than negative 1. And then it's easier for us to think about that here on our graph. X is less than 1, so we're talking about anything here to the left, okay, of negative 1. So hopefully that was helpful and not confusing. But either way, you do it as long as you get the right answer, all right? So 2 different ways to do that. I'm going to erase the second one that I just did, though. You can pause and look at it if you're still kind of looking through, but I just wanted you to be aware of that because you might just start solving this when you're on a test and you might decide to do it the first way, subtracting 4. You might just go for the 3, and it's going to create a slightly different situation. So as long as you know how to handle that or read it properly so you get the right answers on the graph, you're going to be good. Okay, so we're at 20 minutes again. I'm going to stop this video here, and we will go to starting from question number 10 on the next video.